One of the things people might struggle with when crocheting garments with separate panels is seaming together. So I thought I'll show you how to seam two panels together very neatly. This is a mattress stitch I'm using here. So you can use any color yarn because I'm going to show you how it magically disappears. So you want to go from inside out of the panel. So inside to the outside on one panel and then inside to the outside on the other panel, and you're just going to go ahead and repeat that all across. Then hold your panels down in the crisscross, hold your panels down and pull on your yarn, and as you can see it magically disappears and doesn't leave you with any ugly seams. It's really neat. It's a very flat join you can use for seaming your crochet sweaters together.
How to turn a mini skirt into a pair of shorts. So this is a skirt that has no increases or decreases, and now what I'm going to do is I'm going to connect this sides of the panel so that it's a seamless side, and then I'm going to create then two panel shorts. So I'm going to create this like nudge basically after I've done as many rows as I wanted. I think I've done about maybe 15, 20 in between there. So this part needs to be seamed up before you can start this, because then you're going to be working in rounds. So I'm going to go and I'm going to get to the middle of this project essentially. I'm going to chain between 8 and 12. 10 is the middle if you're small, 8 is if you're an extra small, 12 is a little bit if you're bigger, and you're going to chain up, and that's going to create like a little like loop, and then you're going to go and attach it to this side, right? So we're going to basically chain, slip stitch into here, and then you're going to go and have 2 rounds, and you're just going to keep crocheting back and forth in this rounds. Once you're done, tie it off, slip stitch it, and then you'll come back to this side and you'll do these rounds. And I'm going to try to walk you guys through that process, but that's just like the explained version of how to do this.
I don't know what it is that makes me feel like this. I don't know who you are, but you must be some kind of superstar. 'Cause you got all eyes on you no matter where you are. I don't know what it is that makes me feel like this. I don't know who you are, but you must be some kind of superstar.
I can see us holding hands, walking on the beach, our toes in the sand. I can see us on the countryside, sitting on the grassland side by side. You could be my baby, let me make you my lady. Girl, you amaze me, ain't gotta do nothing crazy. See, all I want you to do is be my love. So don't give away my love. So don't give away my
Easy, you can tease me. All I need is that you see me. Do my nails, cut my hair. I'm a brand new bitch. Cut my
So viele von euch wollten wissen, wie man diese süße Buchtasche häkeln kann, und ich zeige euch, wie das geht. Ich nehme heute dieses pinke Garn hier mit einer Nadel in der Stärke von 3,5 mm. Da steht aber auf dem Garn meistens mit drauf, welche Stärke ihr da braucht. Einige haben noch gefragt, wie man den Anfangsknoten macht, und das versuche ich euch jetzt mal hier zu zeigen. Also am besten nehmt ihr das Garn in eure Finger, wie ich das hier in dem Video zeige, und ihr setzt die Nadel dann einfach unter dem Garn an. Dann dreht ihr eure Hand und fädelt einmal das Garn drumherum und holt dann den unteren Faden nach oben. Jetzt ist der Knoten auch schon fast geschafft. Wir müssen einfach nur noch einmal auffädeln und durch die entstandene Schlaufe unseren Garn durchziehen und festmachen. Jetzt fängt der Spaß erst richtig an. Wir fangen an mit Luftmaschen. Da kann ich euch nicht genau sagen, wie lange ihr das machen müsst. Da misst ihr am besten euer Buch ab und genau passt es dann an die Länge an. Übertreibt bei der Länge auf jeden Fall nicht. Ein kleiner Tipp am Rande, weil die Buchtasche sonst viel zu groß wird am Ende. Wenn wir die gewünschte Länge erreicht haben, sehen wir hier jetzt, dass es Öffnungen gibt. Ihr müsst in die allererste Öffnung reingehen, euren Faden aufwickeln. So haben wir jetzt 2 Schlaufen gebildet und da muss unser Faden rauskommen, aus beiden Schlaufen. Und diesen Prozess wiederholt ihr einfach, bis ihr am Ende angekommen seid. Ihr müsst wirklich durch jede Öffnung reingehen, weil ihr sonst ein Dreieck nähen werdet. Da spreche ich aus Erfahrung. Danach dreht ihr euer gehäkeltes einmal um und fangt wieder von vorne an. Ihr müsst dann einfach so lange weiter häkeln, bis ein Buch da reinpasst. Und am Ende müsst ihr einfach nur noch die Ecken zusammennähen. Und fertig ist eure Buchtasche.
Let's crochet a beginner-friendly book cover.
Start by picking out the book you want to make the cover for, and then grab your yarn. This is the one I'm using. It is a weight 3 light yarn, and the recommended hook size for this one is a 4mm hook, so that is the hook I'm going to be using. And to get started, we're just going to make a chain that is the exact length of our book. So for me, that took 32 chains, but it could vary depending on what book you're using. Then we're just going to chain 2, which will not count as a stitch. Then we're going to work our first stitch into the 3rd chain from hook. So we're going to count down, find that 3rd chain, and work a double crochet stitch right into the back bump of that chain. So there's my double crochet, and we're just going to work a double crochet in each stitch across. So working 1 double crochet into each of the back bumps of every chain across to the other side. And once you've completed your first row here, you could see it is just about the length of my book. So now we're ready to start the second round. So we're going to chain 2, which will not count as a stitch. Then we're just going to turn our work to face our previous stitches, and we're going to work 1 double crochet into each stitch across. And this is the row that you're going to be repeating until you've covered your entire book. So we're just going to be repeating this row 2 for every single row until we have covered the full length of our book. All right, and as you can see, we have just finished up our rows to cover the entire book. For me, this took about 26 rows of double crochet, but it'll vary based on the size of your book. So once you do that, you can fasten off and weave in your ends to move on to the last step here. The last step is just making these 2 bands that go on the inside. Here's one of them, and we're going to make the second one up here. So to start this off, we're going to slip stitch into the middle of the second row from the end. So that could be either your row 2 or your second to last row. Once we're slip stitched in, we're going to make a chain that is 5 chains less than the total chains we used at the start of the book cover. So because I used 32 chains to start, I'm working with 27 chains here. Now we're going to just work along the edges of the previous round. So we're going to turn here and just begin to slip stitch. So we'll slip stitch once into that next side of the round, again into that next space. And once we've made 2 slip stitches, we're just going to turn our work around and begin to make a double crochet into each of these chains across. So just like we started the very first row of the book cover, we're just working 1 double crochet into the back bumps of each of these chains across until we reach the other side. And now we're just going to line this up here and find the closest space to slip stitch into to attach this to the other side. And once we've slip stitched, we will fasten off and weave in all our remaining ends. To attach this to your book, you'll just slide these 2 straps over the sides and fold it in place. And now you have a finished crochet book cover.
Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. Comment and let me know what tutorials you'd like to see next.
Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, God.
Say, you run it on the road, so get out the way, push the pedal to the floor, go all the way, yeah, you see I'm getting close, I accelerate, going faster, the faster the gas, lose control, I won't crash, run.
Okay, babes, it's time for another easy crochet holiday gift. I'm not showing my face today because I look busted, but make a slip knot and then chain as long as you want the bookmark to be. We're going to do something called the daisy stitch or the star stitch, but if that is too hard for you, just use any old stitch you want. Put your hook into the second chain from the hook, yarn over and pull up a loop. Do the same thing in the next stitch, and then skip the 4th stitch from the hook. Put your hook into the 5th stitch, yarn over and pull up a loop. You should have 4 loops on your hook. Now pull a loop through all of the loops on your hook like that and chain 1. Now you see that little space you just created with your chain? I want you to push your hook through that and pull up a loop, and then pull up a loop through that last chain you used on the last stitch right there, and skip the next chain after that. Mine's kind of small, and then pull up a loop through the second
chain right after the one you just skipped. Now pull through all 4 loops on your hook and continue on until you reach the end of the row like this. And now it's time to chain 3 to get to your next row. So on your second row, you're going to start with the second chain from the hook right there. Pull a loop up in that one and again on the next chain, and then skip that first little stitch right there and pull your final loop up from that little hole made by one of the chains on the last row right there, and pull a loop through all of the loops in your hook. And then to start the next one, chain 1 and insert your hook into that first little chain space, the second little chain space, and the third little chain space. Ignore all of the other stitches, pull a loop through, and continue on till the end of that row. Now at the very end of the row, you want to put your last stitch right in there, okay? Just making sure you know that because it confused the fuck out of me. I did 3 rows total, and now it is time to make a little border. I chained 1, and then I went around the entire border with a single crochet just to make it look nice and neat. The one trick with this is in each of the corner stitches, crochet 3 times to get a nice sharp corner. Unless you like your corners rounded, I don't know your life. And when you've gone around all 4 sides, slip stitch the first stitch to the last, and now it's time to add a little flare. So fasten this part off, and then I want you to cut out a bunch of equally lengthed strips of yarn. Mine were like 10 inches long. Fold one in half and then stick the middle of that through one of the single crochet stitches on the short edge and tie it through like this. You're essentially making slip knots. Do it in every stitch down the edge and then cut off as long as you wanted. This is what I did, and now you have a beautiful fucking bookmark. You can give it as a gift, or you can do what I did and kept it because I really, truly, and desperately needed a bookmark.
So I love how this skirt is, and it is very Y2K, just flares out. So I decided to do the same thing with this, and I just freehanded it because I'm at that level where I can just look at something and kind of create it, and it's easier than following a tutorial. So in order to do this, I just did a panel of double crochet. Then I went around and I did 2 double crochets in each like double crochet. So that's what's creating these like ripples over here, and then it's just doing double crochet again. I didn't do any further increases after that row of inserting 2 double crochets into each one double crochet spot. I then just did that 1 row of increase and then continued doing double crochet. I did about 4 single crochets or double crochets in here into each individual stitch, and then slip stitch to the next, which created the scallop. I've done a more in-depth tutorial on this on my channel. And then to make sure that the waistband really like made it more snug, because even though this is low rise, I did want it to like be a lot snugger on the model. I just did 1 row of a single crochet with a 3.75 mm needle just so that it tightens away. And I didn't do this bow because I didn't feel like it was necessary, but the rest of the skirt is basically like on par. Like the lace here came to the scallop. Same idea with this is where like this started.
It's fall, which means it's beanie season. So here's a quick tutorial on how to make a beanie. Get some worsted weight yarn and a 5.5mm hook and take the end and make a slip knot. Here it's too big, so I tighten it a little and then put it on my hook. Now we're going to start chaining, so I'm doing 38 chains. This is how long the beanie is going to be, and here's how it looks. Now you're going to skip the first 2 chains, and in the 3rd chain you're going to make a half double crochet. Then keep half double crocheting across the chain until you reach the end of the row. That's your first row. Then you're going to chain 2 and flip your work. Now you're going to skip those 2 stitches, yarn over, and insert your hook only into the back loop of that stitch. Keep making half double crochets only into the back loop for the rest of the row. You're going to repeat that row until you reach 36 rows, and it creates this nice ribbon. Next, you're going to fold it in half and attach the sides together. I do this by single crocheting them together. Next, you're going to take some yarn and attach it to the top of the beanie and start weaving it through the top along like that until you reach all the way around, and then you can just pull it closed. Make sure to tie it really tightly, and I double knot it here, and then weave in the ends, and then you have your beanie. I like to fold over the end here and go forth and crochet.
Make a pair of crochet baby sandals with me.
Bills that I have to pay, but I don't need to worry, there's an easy way. Easy as. Now you're running late, running out of time. Feels like the world is waiting in line. But all you gotta do is pick up the phone and just dial. There's so much that you can do, so much to explore. Life is waiting for you, so just open up the door. So what else?